Well, it's great to be here. I am certainly honored and proud to be the head football coach at the University of Florida. It's a great day, certainly for my family and Florida. I want to thank Dr. Muschamp. No great organization has anything but great leadership in the top of it, and the University of Florida has that. All my research pointed very well to the job that you've done as president, and I appreciate that. When Jeremy called me, we first had our conversations, he talked about a fit. And really when he started describing exactly what he was looking for, he wanted somebody that had the experience in the SEC, that understood when you walk into those venues you're going to walk into, that understood how to compete in those situations. He wanted a guy that understood what it was going to take to be a relentless recruiter in this league and understand the recruiting bases you're going to go against, the recruiting teams you're going to go against. He wanted somebody who's going to do it the right way, who's going to follow the rules, and represent the university in a first-class manner. He wanted a good fit for Gainesville and our community. All right, and he wanted somebody that understood the expectations of the program. And the expectations as far as winning championships. And believe me, I understand that, and I understand what you've got to do to be successful in the situation. So when he described that to me on the phone, it got me more and more excited because I felt like he was describing me. He was describing the perfect fit for Florida. I know that there will be criticism, whatever, about maybe not hiring a guy with head coaching experience, which I certainly understand that. But I do think if you look at it, you can really look at all the examples across the board of guys that had no head coaching experience and did an outstanding job because they were the right fit for the right job at the right time. And you can look at a lot of examples of guys that had head coaching experience and went to situations like Florida and didn't have success like you thought they might have. All right, so again, I agree with Jeremy and his research that there is a certain fit you look for in all situations. And again, I feel like I'm the right fit for Jeremy, and I can certainly tell you you're not going to regret that. I'm excited about the opportunity. The most impressive thing about Florida to me was the administration. They know how to be successful, and they know what you need to do to be successful. And really, as a coach, you've got to have people that are going to back you in that way. And with the 3 national championships since 1996, they understand what it's going to take there. I want to recognize my mom and dad, Larry and Sally Muschamp, for being here. Obviously, getting back to Gainesville is a lot of fun. My 2 brothers, Mike and Pat, we've had a lot of good backyard football games on 1122 Northwest 22nd Street off 8th Avenue in Gainesville, Florida. Mike was Wayne Peace a lot, all right? Pat was Tyrone Young, and I was Tony Lilly. And on the back end there, for all you Gator guys that know a lot about the Gators. I want to thank my wonderful wife, Carol. Please stand, honey, and be recognized there. Really good for being a coach's wife, especially mine, okay? During the season, she's a widow. She's dealing without me a lot because I work awful lot. I'm very driven in what we do, and I want to do a good job for our football team and our football players and our program. I think I've got an obligation to do that. My 2 sons, Jackson and Whit, excited about being Gators, but my wife is my best friend and a great mother and a great wife, and I think she's done a phenomenal job and had a lot of sacrifices in moving and doing the things that it takes to be successful in this profession. We're excited about being here. We're excited about being in Gainesville. Really, I think as far as going recruiting, which I did yesterday, I can't comment anything specifically about it, but we got a great reception. When you walk into a home and you talk about being the student athlete at the University of Florida, I talk in terms of I want all of our student athletes to come into our program to be a better person for having been at Florida. All right, and I'm not just talking about from a football standpoint, from a strength standpoint. I'm talking about the off-the-field thing. Academically, obviously, is very important to me, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But we're going to have programs set for our players that are going to help with leadership development, character development, and the mental conditioning it takes to be successful. It's all about making good choices and decisions nowadays. There's a lot of distractions out there. There's a lot of things that can go wrong when you make a poor choice and decision. There's nothing more frustrating to me than to see a young man make a poor choice and somebody said he must be a bad kid. He's not a bad kid. He made a poor choice and decision. So we need to do a great job of conditioning our players to make good choices and decisions. And again, I think that's something that we can supplement our plan with here at Florida, along with our football, along with our academic, along with our social, along with our spiritual, to make sure that our players are exposed to those types of things. I think it's critical that they get their degree when they come here. It hit home for me. I was lucky enough to coach in the National Football League. I was at the Miami Dolphins, and I never forget it. A 24-year-old man who had a bad knee, was married and had 2 children, came in my office. had tears in his eyes. I knew we had cut him that day. And he said, "Coach, I've got nothing to fall back on." And that's when it really hit home with me. I said, "Well, you just need to go back, you need to finish up school." He goes, "Coach, I'm over a year away. I went to a school that doesn't pay for their students to come back and try and finish for the degree." And that's where it hit home. You know, you've got to get your degree. That's why you're here. Less than 4% of everybody that plays college football, Division I, 1AA, Division II, and Division III, make it more than 4 years in the National Football League. So at 26 years old, the money's done, and you've got the rest of your life to live. You've got to get a degree. I'm going to emphasize it. If our kids don't want to get their degree, they don't need to be here. If they're not going to go to class and act the right way, they don't need to be here. There's a certain thing that I'm going to refer to as the Florida way, and that's the way they need to act, and that's the way they need to represent our university. All right? And I'm going to demand that, and I think that you'll understand in time that that's something that's very important to me. I do feel like that there's a spiritual side to the college atmosphere for our players. It's nothing that's going to be forced on anybody, but I do think it's important to have a team pastor involved. There's something they'll tell those men that they may not tell old Coach Muschamp. My stuff falls on deaf ears after a while, and it's good to have that development for our football team and our football players. Now, as we work into the football development of it, we've got to do a great job in our weight room. I'm really excited that Mickey's going to stay on and be a Gator. He's outstanding. He's as good a strength coach as there is in the country. And my first visit was to our weight room to visit with him and make sure he understood that he and I are on the same page for what we want for our athletes. And I think he's phenomenal. We will be a pro-style attack offensively and defensively. As far as special teams is concerned, I feel like our players will be exposed to cutting-edge schemes for what's going to do to make sure that they show their abilities. If they want to play on the next level, they certainly can have those opportunities. But I really feel like the most important thing when you talk about football, it's a great team game, all right, and at the University of Florida, it's about winning championships. And that's what I understand the expectation is, and that's what we're here to do. We need to understand the process it takes in order to do that, the hard work, the dedication, the common purpose attitude it's going to take, and the all-in attitude it's going to take in order to do that. But I think that obviously it's been something that's done here before. We've got great support from our administration, and I understand that that is the expectation. And once our young men graduate, once they finish playing, we need the Gator Nation to come together and help them launch their careers. All right, by the NCAA rules, and make sure that we help these young men that came to Florida, graduated, did it the right way, finished their playing days, and we help them launch their careers. And the University of Florida is a powerful place. It's the flagship university in this state. There's an awful lot of Gators in this state. Believe me, I've been down here recruiting against them for a long time, so I know. And I've lost a lot of battles. All right, so I'm glad I've got the right orange and blue on this time. But our program is going to be based in a family atmosphere with three basic things: trust, respect, and communication. Those are all two-way streets. It takes two to do it. You're going to earn my trust. You're going to earn my respect. You need to do the same for me. All right, and we've got to be able to communicate. Any good organization, any good marriage, any good relationship has great communication. And that's a paramount in my opinion. We're going to embrace the tradition and history of the program. I've got great memories being at, back then it was just Florida Field. It wasn't the Swamp. It is the Swamp now at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. And I had some great memories having my father afforded season tickets for us. We sat in the old north end zone, which was not the north end zone it is now, I can assure you that. We walked right off the street and we walked down. But some great memories of a 17-9 victory over USC and watching Wilbur Marshall play outside backer about as good as you could play, and watching Charlie Pell circle the field when the game was over. Watching James Jones one-hand catch it in the side of the end zone there against Miami, and he was in bounds. I do remember that. All the Miami fans, so make sure he was in bounds. All right, a lot of the picture days with the Gators there, and my mom wanted to get her picture made with Chris Collinsworth the whole time. As a young guy, I never understood that, but I understand now. All right, a lot of the Heisman Trophy winners, Danny Warfel, I look forward to reaching out to. Tim Tebow, the night I took the job, called me. And obviously a guy that I loved competing against because he's such a great competitor and a great athlete, and obviously a Heisman winner. And I reached out and actually talked to Steve Spurrier today. He congratulated me on the job, what a phenomenal career he had as a player, and then a great 12-year run as a coach. Some great coaches here. You look at Ray Graves back in the 60s on the cutting edge offensively and throwing the football. Obviously helped Coach Spurrier in his career as a player here, the 12-year run that he had, and then Urban Meyer. What a phenomenal job he's done. when Jeremy sat with me in my living room there on Saturday and we talked about the job at Florida, we continued to talk. We were having great discussions about everything as far as philosophically what we believe in the program, what we believe is important. Jeremy's got vast experience here at the University of Florida, so I'll lean on him a lot on a lot of things. But as we kept talking, I felt like I needed to talk to Urban Meyer. And I said, "Do you mind if I call him?" And he threw the phone at me. He said, "Here he is right here." I got on the phone, walked in the other room, and I talked about the things that I felt like were important in the program. And it's a lot of the same beliefs in the program that he believes. All right, as we kept talking, the more and more I started to really like him. I've recruited against him and I've competed against him, but I've never really met him. But the more I talk to him, the more I like him. And I can tell you this right now, as long as Will Muschamp, the head coach of the University of Florida, Urban Meyer is going to be involved in this program. And I've invited him to the weight room, I've invited him to the practice field, I've invited him to the meetings and whatever he wants to do. Because he'll be a great sounding board for me, all right, number one. And he needs to be involved in this program for our players because he's the one that recruited them all, and he's still helping us in the recruiting class that we've got going this year. And he's a great sounding board for me and a part of this great tradition of Florida football. And you know, I'm not a guy, I'm more worried about perception than I am reality. So the perception can be whatever it is out there. I deal in real world. I deal in reality. All right? And I've got no ego. My agenda is the players and the University of Florida, and it's about winning. That's what the fun is. It's about winning football games and doing it the right way, and however we need to do that, that's what we're going to do. But his wife, Shelley, Nicole, Gigi, and Nathan will be a part of the Florida family, I can assure you of that. And I'm excited to be able to work with him. One of the major attractions, obviously, was the state of Florida. The recruiting base is absolutely phenomenal. There's great high school coaching in this state. There are great players in this state. And the first thing we need to do recruiting is take care of our backyard. We need to do a great job of evaluating in the state of Florida, which I've recruited the entire state along with the entire Southeast. But we're going to take the right players. We have an